Hello, y'all. How are you? I'm doing pretty well. Last week, and over the weekend stressed me out some. Having my tooth pulled, being in all that pain, the camera's not working right. Yeah, it had me pretty stressed. Had me pretty stressed. But sometimes there are studies. There's two schools of thought when it comes to stress and creativity. One is that it blocks our creativity. The other is that creativity is a great way to relieve stress, ironically enough. And since we can't get rid of stress, no matter how hard we try or what we do, no matter how much we simplify our lives or we change things in our lifestyle to be more stress free or less stressed, there's only so much you can do because there are outside factors to consider when it comes to stress. Life, family, jobs, tooth problems, or I should say teeth problems, technology problems. But there are ways that we can reduce our stress, that we can learn to deal with our stress better. Stress coping mechanisms. I did take some notes, but I'm not going to read from them. I'm using them as kind of a guide. I did read from the notes, some of them, for the YouTube video about self-doubt, which is actually probably one of my better videos on self-doubt, and I've done quite a few videos on self-doubt. I am filming ahead of time my videos, doing them a day or two or three or four beforehand. So as I film this, it is Monday. I spent some time doing these. I did the graphite pencil to get a little bit of shading in on Snoopy because Snoopy is white and I don't have white gouache. I have that white Chinese, white whatever that is that I got in from Art Snacks, but I don't really want to use white paint much. So I used the graphite pencil to do a little bit of shading. I've left the pencil on there, I haven't erased it. And then I took my Faber-Castell pen and drew over it so that when I do go in, it will have just a little tiny bit, the graphite pencil. It was the light wash one by Derwent. So this was actually relaxing, drawing these, doing these, and I think watercoloring them is going to be very relaxing, very relaxing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9, I think 10 done. I've still got some to do. I've got 2 that are completed, and then 8 or 9 here to watercolor, and I'll do some more the next day. I have quite a few to do. And it was stressing me out a little bit. And then there were some family things that were stressing me out a little bit. My tooth, and cameras, and bills. Bills, yes, this time of year it's always, and our tax money is not our own. And I wrote about that in my morning pages this morning, how utterly and completely disappointing it is, and how irritated I am about it. But there's nothing I can do. So I won't be getting any of it. But bills will get paid. That's not going to happen next year, come hell or high water. I don't care what else happens. Rockstar and I never argue. We hardly ever disagree. But every now and again, we have a difference of opinion. Only this time, it's not even an opinion. There's no disagreement to be had. Because what we're doing has to be done. That doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean he has to like it either. But, so it's not him. Not him. This is just life shit, you know? So, I'm going to be watercoloring these, but this is a copy chat. And although I like to do the copy chats like a voiceover, this is something that I probably need to kind of do full attention at, I think. So, and they say that face-to-face interaction is really good, and if you don't want to look at me, you can always journal. You don't have to look at the screen. So, It can work like a podcast. You can put it in the background and just listen to me. Since many of us live lives that, I think, if you're normal anyway, and I don't know what normal is, but for the most part, um, there are things in life that can be filled with stress, or that can happen and then fill us with stress. My life on an everyday basis isn't really stressful, but there are things that happen that cause me stress. And because I have anxiety, it makes it a little worse. So since for many of us that the higher our stress level is, sometimes the less creative we are at times, which means no journaling or writing or creating art, or maybe we can do one or the other, but we can't do all of the things that we normally do, which is what happens to me. Since stress affects our higher brain function, which is your focus, your attention to detail, your memory, your learning, actually, I guess your attention span and your focus, how long you can pay attention, which for me isn't very long. Studies have shown, and ironically enough, there's that two different schools of thought. I think it depends, and here's why. While there are some things that we can do even when we're stressed out, there are other things that we can't do. So I usually pick one of the other things, like if for some reason I can't write because I'm super stressed out, or I don't feel like creating art, which is not very often. I text, journal, and write a lot. I just haven't really been working on my novel on and off very much. Like, it's been an on and off thing, but I'm super stoked about Camp NaNoWriMo, and March is the planning month for Camp NaNoWriMo. So March is going to be me doing journaling to relax from the writing. So you might get a lot more of like some stuff, and I think I'm going to make things a little simpler in my journal for the month of March and April because of Camp NaNoWriMo, because writing is going to be my big focus. It's going to be one of my top priorities. I know for me personally, when I get super stressed out, there are some things that I can do that help me. One of the things is to do a different creative pursuit. So for me, if the writing is stressful, I create art. If the art is stressful, oh my God, really? Really? That's the neighbor. The dirt bike. You might live in the country if. So if I can't do writing or art,
I can't murder my neighbor.
if I can't do writing or art, then I'll read a book. Make myself a cup of hot tea, sit in my chair, my comfy chair, my recliner, which Mr. Rockstar tends to hog, and I will read a book. There are other activities that are really conducive to reducing stress. Activities like doing things that make you happy. Seek joy. Whether that's taking a walk, which is really good, and we're going to get to that, going to a museum, going to Starbucks and grabbing you a cup of coffee, going to the art shop, art store, going to a museum, any number of things. There are all different kinds of things that can make us happy. One of the other things is physical activity, like walking or yoga, or meditation is a physical and a mental, so it can be an either or. Dancing. Believe it or not, how you eat can play a role in stress and how you eat. And I say this because usually when we're super stressed out, it's like with depression sometimes, we have a tendency to go more towards the junk food. Junk food can make your depression worse. It can make your stress level worse because it has stuff in it that your body doesn't really need. But things like leafy green vegetables, which especially certain ones, can give your brain a feel-good jump start for the good brain, for the neurotransmitters. And that helps reduce the risk of depression, and it helps in reducing depression. Those neurotransmitters are also found, the neurotransmitter boost, which is dopamine, is also increased with a long hot shower. There's a chemical and the warm water that gets into the atmosphere, and it does this wonderful stuff, and it increases our neurotransmitters, our dopamine, and it makes us happy. It opens the door to creativity. So that's another thing. There are a lot of different things that we can do, activities like fixing ourselves a cup of hot tea, drinking a cup of hot tea or a cup of coffee in the mornings, and reading a book for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes, doing morning pages, gratitude, journaling a gratitude journal or journaling about gratitude in your journal, writing about gratitude, what you're thankful for, self-care day, having a self-care day, or doing things sometimes during the day, picking a moment of time, a certain section of time during your day for you time, me time. Taking a break for 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes and having some quiet time can help reduce your stress level. Free writing, stream of consciousness writing, morning pages writing, that kind of thing helps reduce stress. I like a long hot bath or shower, depends. But one of the best things that you can do when you are stressed out is to get at one with Mother Nature, to go outside. If you can get outdoors with Mother Nature, she, one, reduces stress. It lowers our stress levels. It increases our happiness level. It also increases our gratitude and generosity and kindness and compassion and all those ashen, no, I'm just kidding, ashen things. I think it helps re-energize us in a way. It really does. I get outside at nighttime sometimes and just revel in the moon. I do go outside in the daytime and take short walks around. I'll go around walk around in the yard. I'll walk around in the neighborhood a little bit. Sometimes I'll get outside. Sometimes when I go to places, if I'm not in a lot of pain, I'll park further away so I can enjoy my little walk through the parking lot. And instead of getting ticked off when there's no parking space in the front, now it would be different if I had my mom with me because my mom's handicapped. But for me, if I'm not in a lot of pain, if my shoulders don't bother me really bad, and my shoulders shouldn't have anything to do with walking, but going to the grocery store is very taxing for me. If I go by myself and I have to do all of the lifting and everything. But anyway, stress. One of the things that can stress you out in a heartbeat is family stuff or friend stuff or social media stuff, politics, the news, all of those drama kind of things that can increase our stress levels. For like a lot of people like us right now, it's tax time. And tax time can be a very happy time if you're going to get a refund, or it can be a very trying, stressful time if you have to pay or if your refund is going for something and you get none of it. So stress really can affect your creativity though. And I find that for myself, stress really does affect my creativity. So now I'm done with the notes and we're just going to talk about stress and creativity. Sometimes when life, regular life, anything of those things that I mentioned, where it's life stuff, when it stresses me out, I turn to my journal. I turn to my writing. I turn to art. I turn to a DIY project. I turn to creativity to reduce my stress. It's when I don't feel like being creative that I have problems. And I found that when I am so stressed out for whatever reason that I don't feel creative, those are the times when I really have to concentrate on doing those things. So since October, I have been making those things a part of my routine to get into healthier and healthier habits I can be fit. I need to lose weight to be fit. Walking and moving around, dancing around the house when I'm cleaning, doing things that I can do. When I sit in this chair for a long time, I will do this. I'll sit back and I will stretch. These are exercises that I was taught that I could do for my shoulders that would help stretch them out and relax them. I do these every morning when I first get up. I stretch everything. I will turn around in the chair, stretch my legs out. you know, do stuff. Then I'll get up out of the chair. Usually I have to stretch my legs out some because either one of them's fallen asleep or they've gotten a bit numb. Um, and I will straighten up a bit around here when I need a little bit of like physical activity is really good for you. So sometimes though, if you're in a lot of pain or you're a person who has some physical ailments or chronic pain or any number of things, fibromyalgia, which I have, there are some days when physical activity may not happen at all. So when I have those kind of days, I do exercises that I can do, things that will help me but don't tax my body. Yoga. I do baby yoga, beginner's yoga, which is really just major stretching. And the more that I stretch, the better I get at stretching and the more limber I am. So those are just things that I've been working on. But when I turn to my journal, um, and I found that sometimes things with the journal stuff, sometimes it can stress me out. Um, Having so many things, so many planners, so many things, so much to choose from, so many to figure out. I was getting stressed out and overwhelmed. So I've been simplifying things. I'm going to be simplifying things even more. And I found the perfect size for me for regular, everyday journaling, bullet journaling, planning, that kind of thing. A5 is still my love. A5 is still what I'll be doing projects in, but it's no longer what I'll be doing everyday journaling in. I still love my A5 stuff. But I've gotten to the point where physically, if I'm going to be carrying my journal around, and I've been visiting my mom more, I've been getting out more doing urban sketching and the plein air sketching and throwing all of that stuff in my bag, which I need to film. It's gotten where I don't want to carry all that stuff around. And I realized I was putting way too much in the bag anyway, which was making it a lot heavier. One of the ways I can reduce stress for myself is stress I've actually put on myself having too many things. Simplifying my system for planning and for journaling and all that. And you're going to be going through it with me. I'm going to be showing you what I'm doing. I'm going to be talking about it and telling you why and different things like that. So I think one of the best strategies for me is, in order to save myself some stress and some anxiety, is to kind of find routines, do things, simplify things that I know are positive things that will help reduce the stress, help reduce my anxiety, make me physically and mentally feel better, like getting outside, reading a book, having a cup of hot tea in the evenings. In the mornings, I like to read a book, read a chapter in a book, read for 10 or 20 minutes, read with a cup of coffee after I do my morning pages. I do stretches, and then I get up and I make coffee and I take a quick shower. While I'm in the shower, I'm stretching again. After I get out of the shower, sometimes I do morning pages before the shower, sometimes I do morning pages after the shower. But the shower helps me wake up and it makes me feel better. And I know you're supposed to do morning pages when you're groggy, but that doesn't always happen because sometimes I can't see well enough when I first get up in the morning to write. I need new glasses. So anyway, it just depends on, but I try to get them done in the morning. In the evenings, I'll slow down the day, slow myself down, and I'll make myself a cup of hot tea or a cup of hot cocoa. I'll have my book and my cup of hot tea or my cup of cocoa. In the summertime, I'll drink more hot tea. In the wintertime, I drink hot tea too. It just depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I don't want all that sugar, so I'll drink hot tea and not hot cocoa. And sometimes I want the sugar. I don't use regular processed sugar. I do stevia, and I make usually I make my hot chocolate. I make homemade hot chocolate, and I have the organic Hershey's, which only has like all of 5 ingredients total in it now. So I don't. Mr. Victor drinks chocolate milk, and I like hot cocoa, and I had to cut out some stuff somewhere. So not like I can be having all that sugar with that many hot cocos, or making my own hot cocoa slash coffee mocha thing when I add hot cocoa to it. I just now I'm getting to the point where I think I'm rambling. But sometimes it's okay to ramble, um, because I come up with ideas sometimes when I ramble. So this week I have to do a video for the newsletter, write a post for the newsletter. I need to finish working on PDF drawing things for y'all for next week, and for the thing I'm doing with Bree, the collab, and for the newsletter. So I got a lot of stuff going on. I have a journal with me to do, and I'm going to do the journal with me with these and maybe some of my journal stuff. I think these will be kind of fun. You'll get to see me creating them. I'll do a couple where I actually draw the Snoopy, so you could see that I'm actually, not that you can't tell that I'm actually drawing these, but it's okay, you know. So I'm excited. I really appreciate those of you who have been commenting about subjects, topics that you'd like for me to do coffee chats about, especially if they are about journaling or anything creative like that. I'm going to be doing a writing video this Wednesday. So I will be filming my writing video tomorrow, and I'm going to be talking about the writing process. I'm going to talk about how taking a break from writing, like I did kind of in the video for y'all, taking a break from writing, like journaling or anything else. It'll be very similar to the one I just created for y'all, where I did the chat with the drawing and the planning and stuff. YouTube's planning video is going up in the morning. It's going up Tuesday morning. I'm going to do the writer video Wednesday, and then Friday will be a journal video for YouTube, and I might time lapse what I'm filming for y'all with these. They won't see me drawing them, but they might see me watercoloring them. But it'll be the only one they get, because you'll see me doing the next batch of them where I actually draw them. So you get 2 of these kind of videos, and I might add some journal video where I'm doing stuff in my journal for y'all too. So I'm excited. I want to pretty soon probably going to do a flip through of the new journal and how it's going, and I would like to do a artist date. Take Mr. Rockstar with me and go to Starbucks and do some more journaling and have him film some more. Stress though. It's been stressful. I got super stressed out when the cameras wouldn't work, and now it's time for me to play with the other camera. So I'm going to see if I can get it to focus. I'm going to take the battery out. I'm going to charge the other battery, make sure it's charged real good, take this battery out, charge it, and that way maybe the battery was what was causing it. Maybe that battery's low and it just didn't tell me. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. And I hope that y'all are doing well. Hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, if there's some more topics or anything that you'd like for me to cover. A friend of mine recently was in a stressful situation, like I was last week, with the cameras and with the tooth and the dentist and, real life stressors. And one of the things I've learned, because of depression and anxiety and ADHD, and it runs rampant in my family, and when you throw people together who have anxiety or depression or ADHD, it can be a bit dramatic. So I've learned, one, I don't have to defend myself, anybody, for any reason. Two, I don't necessarily have to explain myself to people either. Now, there are some people that I need to kind of, talk things over with, but I don't have to necessarily explain myself. And as somebody who is, sun sign is Cancer, rising sign is Leo, and my moon is an Aquarius, the last thing you want to do is try to get somebody like me, make them feel like they owe you an explanation. But with family, sometimes we have to adjust. We have to let it go, let it flow. We have to, if we don't have anything nice to say, not say anything at all, in order to reduce our stress and stress in general. I'm going to go with the flow. And I've learned to do that. Just because my political opinions or my religious opinions or how I live my life or what I think about certain topics or other things don't necessarily agree with other people's, I'll talk about it. And I won't talk about it. My dad was really wonderful about teaching me how to debate. And I don't like to. And I've noticed that in families, there's no time or place where there's ever where an argument is usually ever a good thing. So I just kind of let it, um, with the holidays and different things, Easter's coming up, St. Patrick's Day. We just went through the winter time and we had Valentine's Day and Christmas and Thanksgiving. There's always something. Birthdays, always something. And I find that I get super stressed out sometimes because of family stuff, stress. Certain people cause my anxiety level to go higher than others. It's hard for me to be around certain people for any certain length of time because of my anxiety. So I've had to learn how to cope with things, reduce my stress level. And one of the best ways I've learned is to let it go, let it flow. If I don't have anything nice to say, to not say anything at all. And to remember that just as I'm thinking their opinion or whatever is causing me stress or is devaluing me or makes me feel a certain way, my opinion could be making them feel that same way. And I prefer for myself to not put myself in those situations where I would want to make anybody feel, that way. There are certain family members you love and you don't have to agree with them. And I found myself a lot lately being at the brunt of different discussions where, well, you don't have a real job, so your hours are flexible, right? Or I'm feeling pressure to every time I turn around, people are wanting to chat, and I'm at work. If I were working outside of the home, people wouldn't be messaging me on my phone, texting me, or message me on Facebook, or calling me, or expecting me to drop everything I'm doing and go do such and such and such. Because I don't have a real job, and I have flexible hours. I work at home, so maybe they're not necessarily thinking my job isn't a real job, but I work at home. And that's one of my big beefs, and that's been causing me a lot of stress for the past year. And just recently, with everything that was going on, I finally sat myself down, had a long talk with myself. Hey, you. Hey, creative you. Quit getting all stressed out. There are all kinds of people who work from home and have the same issues. And then there are other people who put a stop to it. They have boundaries. And these are my boundaries. And this is what I am willing to do. And this is what I'm not willing to do. Some of these things are not possible because of whatever. And you may not feel like my job's a real job, but my job is a real job. And although it takes me this amount of time to edit a video, that doesn't include all the time it took me to get everything ready to film the video, the amount of time it took me to film the video, the time before that where I had to make sure the battery was charged and the memory card wasn't full, and then the importing and the taking pictures and the actual editing of the video and then the rendering time. And yes, I can do some things while it's saving. I can do some things. I usually do housework while my videos are saving. So I'm going to do this. I don't have like office hours, but I do feel like maybe I should. I've often talked about a routine, about getting on a more set schedule, but because Mr. Rockstar's schedule goes back and forth between days and nights, I prefer to spend my time with him when he's here and awake. So my hours end up flip-flopping. When he's working nights, I get a lot of stuff done because he's sleeping during the day and he's working nights, and it takes a bigger toll on his body. So he gets up, he takes a shower, he eats, he puts everything together, he gets ready. He might be able to watch 30 minutes of TV or check Facebook for 30 minutes or call somebody or text somebody for 30 minutes, catch up on family stuff, which is what he did today. And he spent about 30 or 40 minutes talking back and forth between one of his sisters and his mom, texting back and forth. And we spent the other 30 minutes to an hour because he woke up 30 minutes early so he could spend some time with me. And, that's my time with him. And so the rest of that time, I'm either Eating, cooking, cleaning are working or creating or working and creating at the same time. And that can be stressful in and of itself. It can be stressful. And I've been trying to think about a work life home balance. I don't know that there's a real balance to be had. In a perfect world, there would be, but I think for me, it's just doing the best that I can with what I have and having some boundaries. And, okay, I'm working. So from now on, when I'm working, Facebook Messenger will be turned off. My phone will be put on vibrate, and the only person that I will be answering is if it's the school calling me about Victor, or my mom calling, or Mr. Rockstar if he's at work, and like my mom is in the school, my daughter, if it's important. Those are the only kinds of things that I'm actually going to be doing if I'm working, whether it's at nighttime or in the daytime. I'm no longer going to be on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram, or any of that stuff when I'm actually working. I won't be available to anybody, family or anybody. I think that will reduce my stress. Another thing that can reduce my stress is what I'm doing right now, which is filming and getting things done ahead of time. Now I'm not yet at the point where I can have a video in the hole, except I have the one for YouTube in the hole. I need to get a video for y'all in the hole. And I'm hoping to do that sometime this week, but I have the newsletter video to do. So maybe I can do it the weekend. Maybe I can create a couple of videos over the weekend, and I can do that. So I have a video for y'all in the hole. I'd like to do that. Like I said, I think it's time for a creative project, and this weekend will be the end of February, the last weekend of February. So, and Mr. Rockstar's working this weekend, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do some of that. I'm excited. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this helped. I'm adding more real life and experience and my thoughts and opinions and stuff to a lot of these coffee chats, because if we were having coffee, I would be talking to you like I'm talking to you now. So if we were having coffee, what is one thing that has stressed you out that you've learned how to deal with better? You've learned how to manage or cope with. And one thing that you're still working on, because like I said, I'm still working on some things. And the routine schedule kind of thing is one, but I think I fixed part of the problem, like I just talked about. Now, if I could just fix the other part of the problem. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.